All right, so welcome everyone to class number 5 of our 10-week series. And Roberta, do you want to go ahead and mute so the recording is solid? And today we have got pentagons and heptagons. So pentagrams, pentagons, heptagons, heptagrams, and I transpose them all the time, but I'll do my best to stay on point. And we're going to do some drawing. We're going to look at the occult wisdom and mystery school knowledge and application of some of the classes shapes. So let's strap in for a minute. If you are at home, I want to encourage you also to give yourself this minute watching on a recording, taking the time to drop in with yourself and take some nice deep breaths in your day. Breathing in through your nose and releasing out through your mouth. Releasing things that keep you from being in the present moment, whether it's thought patterns or physical stress or tension. Seeing if you can breathe it out and bring your awareness to the present moment. Simultaneously relaxing and activating your system, sinking into the surface, supporting you, feeling your body connecting with the entirety of your essence. Connecting with yourself as the larger being that you are, beyond the physical and emotional and mental. Connecting to the energetic body, your sensory body, your psychic and spiritual bodies, your auric field, your electromagnetics, all of the vastness that we are as these beings in this human incarnation. Expand and appreciate and acknowledge the all of you that is all the time, everywhere, all at once. Take a breath into your heart. Feel a sense of gratitude for the all that you are and for this human experience, for this present moment and this opportunity for expansion. Knowing that we are expanding into our multidimensional nature and our true selves with every day, with every effort, and that is recognized on all scales, in all realms and dimensions, and appreciated. As you're ready, a few more deep breaths coming back. Our class. Today. All right. So, do you want to start with a little? Oh, no, you haven't been sleeping well, so you probably haven't done any drawing. All right. So, then we'll just jump into it. This is one of the more simultaneously simple and yet complex shapes, right? Polygons, but mostly how the shapes have been used to influence the material world. And we'll look at Pentagon and, mystery schools, how geometry has been hijacked with programming and really powerfully. And so we'll try to do a little bit of reprogramming and reclaiming the positive power of the geometry. So even if we're not doing a check-in or a share, Roberta, do you have any thoughts or geometry reflections from the week?
I sometimes, when I close my eyes before I go to sleep, there's a symbol that always just starts glowing in my third eye, which is usually associated with healing. But recently, I've been seeing other shapes, so that's been interesting to me.
Oh,
And just now, when we did the meditation, the pie came up almost as if it was a stillness point for me. So I'd be at the beginning of the pie, and that was the stillness point. I know that the vector equilibrium is more that place, but that's what came up. So interesting.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, very, very different shapes. I mean, part of the course is to try and run the whole spectrum from, the vector equilibriums and the star tetrahedrons into the phi and the infinite spiral, and then some of the polygons that feel basic but also fundamental. And the phi and the polygons, they all have the capacity to fractalize infinitely. Right? So that's part of the finite structure that can hold the infinite expression of our consciousness. So they're really worth exploration for a lot of reasons, even though they seem a little bit simplified. Still good to draw them. So let's dive into a little PowerPoint, and then we'll do a little drawing. And let's see, where are we? We're here. Did you get online a little bit easier today? Did you use the link that I sent you in the email? Okay, and that just worked? Okay, great. Okay, so pentagons and pentagrams. And I'm just going to go over a single slide that talks about polygons. And this is about it, right? We're not going to go into the kind of math definitions and go off into some of the geometry trauma that we all had when we were 15. So polygons, we've got regular, irregular, simple, and complex. And polygon is simply a two-dimensional plane shape, right, with straight sides, and the shapes are named by the number of sides. So pentagons have 5 sides, heptagons 7 sides, octagon 8 sides, and we're going to get into the octagon next week, right? That's the 8-sided shape. It's the hypercube and the tesseract, which is the geometry of time travel. So that's kind of next level with the polygons. And then the nonagon, the enneagram, we didn't do a decagon, but the decagon, we should do the decagon today. All right. Sorry, I've left it out of the last 2 classes this week. All right. So we've got a regular polygon, has all angles equal and all sides equal. Otherwise, it's an irregular polygon. So we're going to be doing regular polygons today. So then a simple polygon has only one boundary and it doesn't cross over itself. And a complex polygon intersects itself. And what that means basically is that the polygons are the boundaries and the polygrams are the stars, right? So doesn't cross, crosses. It's a good way to remember, and I will transpose them for the entire class. That's just how it goes. So the thing that I really love the most about polygons is the idea of a closed figure. The ones we're going to do today, the pentagon, the heptagon, they are closed, and what that means is they can begin and end at the same point, right? And it really has this, I keep going in and out, but it has this existential implication. Like, this is the geometry when we talk about there is no beginning and there is no end, or ending is, when one door closes, another door opens. This is the geometry of that, right? This is, for me, this is broken down, that principle into something I can actually believe, because endings seem so powerful, and to actually shift consciousness into saying, oh no, it really is a beginning. The closed geometry, honestly, I think has helped me shift that principle. So I love these geometries for that reason, and also the fractalizing aspect that I mentioned. All right, so what are we looking at now? So here we've got the polygons and the polygrams, right? You got the pentagram and the pentagon on the top left, and then you've got the heptagon and the heptagram. So the heptagon in the center is an obtuse obtuse geometry, which is the open angled. And then the one on the right is the acute angles, the sharp right star. So we're going to draw both of those today. And then you move on to the octagon, which is the 8 sides, and then 9, 10s, 11, 12s. They're all, they all have their own story in the history of human, in the human story, in terms of manipulating space and time. Speaking of which, so the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, right? A lot of these geometries have been used in ceremony, in spell casting, in the higher secret practices, right? That these geometries, this was top secret information. Like, you really don't find this in the mainstream world, but you find the shapes in I want to say, the history of, I keep saying occultism, but I want to say like dark magics, right? Like, they've been used to craft and create and cast spells, and in different relationships they've had, or sorry, in different religions they've had very dark associations, and we'll look at that more in a second. But they also represent, 5 elements in harmony, right? It represents the human body, right? The star of our legs and arms and head. And it's the pentagon is, well, they're both directly related to the phi and the golden ratio, and incredible mathematics that I don't go into, but they at least get names. And then you find them in Kabbalistic tradition, in the Freemasons, in the Hermetic orders. It's about alchemy and harmonizing the 5 elements. Again, we saw with the Metatron's cube and the dodecahedron, accessing energy is really where it's at. And you can use the geometries to do that. And people have known that, and that information's been passed down and kept very secret. So pentagram, representing the divine will as, that's a nice line, manifest in humanity to affect conscious change, right? Not just the pentagram, but the pentagon and the heptagram and the heptagon. So then we can talk about pagan rituals and using the geometries for invoking and banishing and spell casting, and how that has been used to terrify us in a basic way. The geometries have been used to influence our culture, right? And there's the positive aspect where you've got all of the elements and invoking the highest spiritual practices, but also using it to manipulate in very dark practices as well, which is part of the association, which I keep building up to, but it's coming in a slide or two. So here's the phi. I think we saw this slide in the beginning of the course. Here's the segment of 1, and then the green one, and then the pink segment is 1.618, right? So that phi ratio is just inherently built into the pentagram and the pentagon. And also pi, right? The ratios, the relationships, the math, the angles, the proportions, it is so it is such a fundamental shape, and I just barely cover it in this class, right? It's just a simple overview. But the way the angles and the square roots and the relationship of the fractalizing, the way that the golden ratio is woven into the proportions. It's infinitely fascinating. I only have a slide or two, but namely the pentagon is steeped in numerological significance, right? Number series and sequences, and that's part of its magic and power. And then the fractalizing, right? Sort of infinitely in. We'll see a little bit of that, just a tiny bit when we draw it, but super cool shape and fractalizing nature. And then related to the dodecahedron, again with the pentagon and pentagon. And then this fractalizing repeating pattern. And I think this is a cool slide where it's just the potential of this thing. Like we kind of try to grasp it, but the implications for space dividing itself this way are really fun. And there's the dodecahedron and the pentagon and their relationship, and the pentagon, right, being related to the dodecahedron, and both of them accessing the energy of space-time, highly significant, right? So tuning into that, and then getting into the abuse of power. So the abuse of that system, right? Like we've been cut off from the potency of energy and energetics, and then those who had access to it were abusing it, right? So humanity. Oh geez. So there's my existential despair woven into everything. So all right, so I keep having this pentagon dated back to 3500 BCE, but I think it was before then, but it was definitely part of Plato and Pythagoras and the Renaissance of mathematics. But it was found more universally, right, in different cultures. And here's the most recent fun, interesting development. So 1855, French Catholic deacon Alphonse Louis Constant kicked out of the church for his interest in magic. And he changed his name, Eliphas Levi, and wrote Transcendental Magic. And he wrote that a reversed pentagram with 2 points upward, pointing upwards, attracts, it's a symbol that attracts evil forces, right? And he called that shape a pentacle, right? And so this shape was used to terrify us, right? It was used in association with quote unquote evil, right? You've got the 6 and the 6 on the either side of that terrible face. And it was a way of keeping us away from the power of geometry, right? Like nobody's going to go near a pentacle or a pentagram for this reason. And it was some heavy duty programming. We got the Church of Satan. We got the association of the Church of Satan with serial killers in the 70s and 80s it was all part of a campaign, right, to really lay it on pretty thick and associate the media connecting satanic cults to child sacrifice. And here in this day and age, we've got more of these phenomenons coming up. That's a generalized way of saying something that I'm not going to say on a recording. So just looking, the one, well, there's a lot of reasons that I do love the pentagon and the pentagram is because like much of the geometry, though, it's about reclaiming an awareness, right? This is about tapping into the 90% of our subconscious mind through symbolism, through archetype, and starting to realize how powerful this stuff is, and having a reclamation, right? Like when we start to recognize it, there's an empowerment process, and you can call the programming what it is. And that's media, that's mainstream fear tactics, whether they're using geometry or not. Like we are pummeled with terrifying information these days. And so to to stop and catch the geometry is to stop and catch the programming. And there's where the power really lies, I think. So it's part of why I usually say it's part of why I love it many, many times during the class. So I'm aware of that part. So also on the positive side, I do love to weave in the crop circles, and a lot of times they have pentagonal themes, and you know, just speaking to whatever messages, whatever power that the geometry contains. Some really fascinating formations over the years. The top left is just really one of my favorites, and it's, you know, the fractalizing nature, but oh, it's a fun pattern to play with. Sorry, I glitched out there for a minute. So that's it. Any thoughts or reflections before we get into drawing? Sort of oversimplified. What do you think, Roberta?
So the word that came up was power. So this pentagram, any of the things that start with P, have to do with power, and you would claim that by talking about being empowered. So yes, I could see how it was used in a way that was the opposite of perhaps what universe sacred geometry is all about. So
Yeah, both ways, all the ways. So are you all ready to draw? Do some
yep.
pentagonal? All right. So here we go. All right, we're definitely recording. So what we're gonna do, I believe, is we're gonna start with a single circle in the center of the page, and it's gonna be. Can you see my screen? Did I screen share? No, I didn't screen share. All right, here we go. So we're not using this. We are using the oh, come on. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, are you giving? Come on. Sometimes it gets lost like this. That is so frustrating. So we're going to use the sequence that I will send you right after the class. And I recently updated this because I had an error in it that left it lopsided every time. So I am always learning. And we're going to start with a 3-inch radius, and then that'll give us a 6-inch diameter circle. And that should allow for you to just ballpark the center. We don't have to get, we don't have to measure to the center here, because we're staying a little bit small, because we're going to open the compass to a width past bigger than this circle. So 3-inch wide radius, 6-inch wide diameter, and we'll just nice and light. We're going to draw the whole shape nice and light, because we will end up erasing most of it, just like the other geometries. All right, so we got circle, ready to go? Okay, great. So then we're going to you're going to guesstimate sort of a point on the circle on the horizontal axis, right? So it doesn't have to be precise at this moment. Just kind of shoot for whatever looks like the horizontal point, and draw the half arc that gives us that beautiful Vesica Pisces. And keeping an eye on your compass point, then we're going to use that point as well as the center point to create a horizontal line. And it does not have to be perfectly level, right? We're just, the thing is the pentagon will match whatever axis we've started on. So close enough to count? Okay. All right, here we go. So then this is where we're going to open our compass. And this is so fun, because you start to get the pattern of using the compass to create new coordinates, right? We learn that technique every time through the different shapes. So opening your compass to about 5 inches, if it'll open that far, 4 or 5 inches, maybe it's 4. And then making a hash mark above the shape, kind of where the vertical line might go, right? So sort of approximating, putting the compass on that intersection point of the horizontal line in the circle. and then making, you know, just like an inch long, making a hash mark that you could find your way back to. I'm going to do that on the right side. And then also just a little hash mark above the circle. I'm just watching you to see when we're looking up. So don't want to rush you. Okay, so from the right side and then switching over and doing it from the left side to make that intersection point. Right? Did you get that already? Okay, did you do that? Okay, thumbs up. So we've got our hash mark up there, and that's going to give us the coordinate for the vertical line. Right, so we've got that point up there, and we're going to draw it right through the center of the circle. Right, so that hash mark above the circle. And you can also make a hash mark inside the circle. Whatever it is, the circle is going to give us the coordinates for a vertical line. And I am just in the last year starting to geek out on the coolness of circles and how they divide space and the relationship to circling the square, not squaring the circle, and all sorts of fascinating proportions that are in the circle. So we got that. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do is draw a vertical line from the tip to the bottom of that vesica Pisces. And that gives us an intersection point in the vesica. Everybody's got their own style of that I've learned about body language when they're drawing, when they're done drawing. And so I particularly enjoy yours. But I have my crop circle drawing class at night, and there are some characters last night we were drawing. And there's one woman, and she, when she stops drawing, she'll be like, oh, she'll do this like pop up, like, oh, I got it. Anyway, because all we have now are heads down or heads up, right? Usually, like in person, I could bop around and see what everybody's doing, but it's part of the casualty. And part of the gift is that I can, you know, hang out with people in Melbourne, Australia while we draw. So we've got this. And now you're going to open your compass to the width between the intersection we just made and the bottom vertical intersection with the circle perimeter. And give it a moment of precision, because it does pay off. And we're 5 weeks in. And so at this point, we can try for precision, not get it, and still enjoy the process, but we can at least try for it. All right, so we're opening to that width, and then we're going to draw an arc. We're going to keep the compass there, and you're going to draw an arc that goes up to the top intersection of the vertical line and the perimeter of the circle. Right, keeping the compass at that intersection in the vesica. So compass goes at this point, and then you're drawing a nice big arc. Right, and so you can see here we've got equal proportions on the right side, but over here it's divided differently, right? And I believe that's the 1 to 1.618. I haven't verified that. So we've got this shape, which is kind of cool in its own right. There's something very harmonious about this. And then this is the top secret trick. You're going to open a little more the compass from that bottom vertical point up to the intersection of the arc we just made and the horizontal line. That was the step that I kept forgetting. Actually, it comes out really wonky if you don't do that. All right, we got that width. Okay, now what we're doing is we're going to do that technique of hash marks on the right and left side of the vertical line. The compass point goes at the bottom. You're going to make a mark on the left side, and then you're going to make a mark on the right side. So you've got those two hash marks. Okay. Yep, on either side. All right. And then you're going to use those hash marks to make a mark on the top left and another one on the top right from the point on the right side. this is actually the best way to draw the pentagon that I found. I used to use a chunky way that required many more steps and was far less satisfying. You couldn't make it big. So I like this one that you can make it a large size. So we've got the 2 points on the right and left bottom, and then we've got 2 points on the right and left side. So go ahead and darken in all 4 points as well as the bottom vertical point. I can't believe I've forgotten the decagon all week. It's great. And then this is the point, after all the points, where we're going to erase everything. All right. And you can erase the circle if you'd like. I've left it in there, but it's going to end up looking like that. I know you're talking, but it's, you know. I wish there wasn't a weird echo in your microphone, but maybe do you want to unmute yourself, because it's so much more human and the interaction is more fun. And we'll just give it a try.
Okay, the only thing left are the 5 points.
Okay.
After the
yeah,
erase.
the only thing left. Yep. And then I think we will let me just peek over here for a second. All right. Okay. Okay. I want to find the decagon. Okay, here we go. We're not there yet, but we will get there. Okay. So we've got our 5 points. Did you keep the circle or erase it? Oh, you're muted. Okay, don't unmute yourself. We'll
You
just
can
do the
still
talking.
see it. You can still see it.
Okay, so you can go either way. So now the polygon would be connecting all 5 points. So go ahead and do, well, no, because yours will be different than mine. So the outer boundary, the polygon, would be to connect the points around the boundary, like the circle, only square lines. But we're going to connect the lines, and horizontal line down here, we're just going to connect all 5 points, and you can do it in any order that you want. So this is the horizontal line going between these 2 lower points. So right here, nice horizontal line. And that's going to give us the base for what ends up being a pentacle. It ends up being an upside down star, the way I've drawn it. But we are reprogramming it. And here you go. Next line, you can do the diagonal from the top left. But you could do any, right? You could do any lines. We're just connecting the whole thing. All right. Then you can do that one on that diagonal. And the whole point of the geometry is that it seems so simple, but it has this complexity to it that is significant, highly significant. All right, and then your last line is going to give us that. Right, and part of the cool thing is that your pentagram creates your pentagon, creates your pentagram, creates your pentagon. So it's always giving us the points for that repeating pattern. So now you've got this internal pentagon, and you can use those points for another internal star like that, right? And then that gives you another pentagon, and on and on and on. So if you'd like to do that inner star, just to remind yourself that you can fractalize, that's a fun thing. Let's see. So how do we do this? Let's see all the way down. Okay. Okay, so do you hear the echo on your ends when I start talking? Okay, well, fine. Great. Okay, so let's do a thing where we puncture through the page to get a pentagon on the next side. So just puncture through those 5 points, and then we'll use those points on the bottom on the next page to do a pentagon versus drawing the whole thing from scratch again. Which we could totally do, but once you've got those 5 points, darkening them in. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So once you've got that pentagram, and I think we want the pentagon as well. So do you have the 5 points on the next page? Okay. So go ahead, a couple of steps. Label the points starting at the top as A. Do all this nice and light because they'll be erased. So A at the top going around counterclockwise so that E is on the left point. And then we're going to do the 2 shapes. So you'll do the pentagon, just connecting every point on the outer boundary. We're going to do a meditation with the heptagon to see what the closed shape feels like. And they feel very different, the pentagon versus the pentagram. Right, it's this open shape. Is it Sunday? Okay. So we'll do the pentagon that you just did, and then the pentagram, we'll do the stars again. So A down to C, any which way you want to do it. A down to C, A down to D, B to D, B to E, however it works for you. Just drawing that lovely star in there. What's happening? Is it what do you, okay, hang on a second. Yeah, what's right? That's right. Oh, you're muted. But you're muted, so I can't hear you. What?
This is okay.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Just put A at the top. It'll be easier.
But the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta flip my paper around.
Okay. Is that point A? That top point?
It's gonna be now.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we want.
Huh.
Right, because we used the template from the other one which faces down, and this one we're facing up.
Okay.
So, all right.
Make sure I wasn't.
You're right on target. Okay.
So
then okay, so A, B, and C. Okay, so now draw the pentagram on the inside, drawing the star. Ignore that center line for right now, but drawing the pentagram on the inside. That 5-sided star, 5-pointed star. Yeah. Yep.
Mine didn't come up.
Okay. So. Okay, we got that. Okay, yep. Now you're going to use the coordinates of the star, right? So we're going to draw a vertical line from A at the top, and then you're going to draw through that intersection at the bottom that's created by the star, the pentagon, and just extend it out past the shape by I don't know, like an inch. It doesn't even half an inch. It doesn't have to be long. It's fairly arbitrary because we're going to cut it off. Okay, you got that?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
now we're going to do it 4 more times. You're going to do it from each point of the star. So from B, you're going to go over and across to that intersection on the opposite side of it. From E, you're going to bisect the shape. Here it looks like this. This is a little complex, but you're starting from each point and drawing a bisecting line going through the star cross and then extending out a little bit past the pentagon. Mm-hmm. To do it that way. Yeah, that's the circle part. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay. So you got that point? You've got all 5? Okay. Don't mean to rush you. Sorry.
Yep.
Got it? Okay.
Yep.
So then you want to open the compass from the center point of the shape and then open to point A up at the top.
Okay.
Okay, and then draw a circle, draw a boundary. Very interesting. I think my brain has gotten more used to fractalizing. Okay, so you've got the circle. Okay, so we're going to do some labeling. Now, what I want to tell you, what's fascinating is we're going to mark these points around the circle where the lines we've just made. I'm going to give you letters in a second, but we're gonna extend out past the pentagon, but you could also draw another pentagon in here with the lines we already have, which I haven't done on the paper, but I'm just noticing that. I don't know if that complexifies things. Here's what we're gonna do. Give the alphabets a go, starting with F, right to the just to the right of A. We're gonna go counterclockwise, so that intersection will be F, circling around to G, and then H, I, and J up at the top. And I only do that so I can, give you directions, but it's all going to be erased.
My circle's wonky.
That's all right. Probably. meaning it cuts the points of the pentagon a little bit, or
It's
goes a little.
inside the lines in the bottom half. It's okay. Well, that's not there either.
Okay.
Arrgh.
Well, it's perfectly imperfect, right?
If you say so. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So J is the
Alrighty.
last letter. Yep. Okay. Good.
Okay. So we're using those intersection points on the outer side, right? So now we're going to draw a line from F down to G, right? So we're going to create an outer boundary, and it's going to look like this. It's just like the pentagon again. You're going to do a boundary that's going to be a polar opposite of the pentagon that points up. This pentagon will point down.
No.
No.
Go back.
What do you
Go
have?
back. Go back
Okay,
one.
let me just see what you've got, because I know that you're right on. It just never feels like you are. Okay. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So then, no, you've got it. So you're going to start up at the top at F. So drawing a line from F at the top down to G. That's it. Just
Yeah,
right like that.
that's where I'm
Okay.
wrong.
Why?
Because I did ABCs.
We'll do B and C. So make F, so do a B. Yeah, you got it. Draw a line from B to C. You don't have to change it. Draw a line from B to C.
Yep.
And then from C to D.
It's already a line there.
Okay, from C to D, from D to E.
No,
Up,
so
up.
the
Now,
outside of the circle, right?
Yeah, right where those points are, right where those intersections of the lines and the circle are.
This
Right,
is a
so
mess.
B, C, D, C, D, and then D up to E, and then E up to F. So straight lines, and then F across to A. Right, so we're just doing another pentagon. We've just created the coordinates outside of the original pentagon, and you could also create them inside because it's fractalizing, but that complexifies
I can't deal with one reality. Never mind several. Ah. All right, let's try
I
there.
don't know why I switched up the alphabet. That's fine. That's helpful.
Hey,
Hey.
it's not going to be pretty. So
Well,
should we
once you erase,
yeah,
it might look a little different.
might be 10 lines in here.
Yep, 10 lines now. The decagon.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Well,
Penta being 5, deca being 10.
oh, one more.
Okay.
Okay. Done.
There you go. And now, if you like, and it would help to erase the lines on the center. So go ahead and give that a shot. Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth it. While you're erasing, I'm just going to take a little bio break. I will be right back before you're done.
I love that bio break thing.
Isn't that nice versus going to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
All right. Now, go.
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just erasing over the sink.
Okay. All right. So
It does not
how's
look.
it going? I know it's a little, it's a little wonky probably, but it's because it's the first one, and maybe I'll do another one, and we'll
No,
just keep going.
this is beyond wonky.
Okay. All right.
Talking.
Do you want to share it?
No, I don't.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let me oh, it doesn't ever. Okay. Yeah, well you got it. It's definitely wonky. But hang on, let me see it again because it's not far off. All right, don't move too fast. Okay, so yeah, so J and H, so you just want to draw lines from J to H and from H to I, right? So just another pentagon. So J to H up at the top. You can do it. J to
Yeah,
H.
I
Yep.
might have erased it then, right?
Oh, you might have. Yeah. That might have been it.
Yeah, I see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I see
There you
it.
go. And then you could probably erase the circle too and just leave the straight lines. Or
Okay.
not. You don't have to at all.
Wow, I'm gonna need a good 3 days of sleep before I draw this again.
I'm sorry you're not sleeping well. That's a bummer.
I just erased the line into it. That's
Ah,
not good. All right. So I know what I'm supposed to see.
okay. All right. So,
Gone inside of a decagon.
all right. It's a decagon. It's 10-pointed star. It comes from the 5-pointed star, but it's an obtuse decagon, right? If it was a decagram, it would be the stars inside.
Okay, well, we're not putting any stars in here.
No, we're going to do that with the heptagon and the heptagram. Yeah,
Okay.
that it's a little easier, you'll see.
Oh,
All right, better?
it's getting there.
Okay,
Sure.
great.
Definitely confusing. Okay.
All right. Do you want to, can I have a peek at one more?
Sure, maybe I
Okay.
missed the line again.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What was that?
Mhm.
I think it's ridiculous.
All right.
You can't trust me to erase.
No, you've got some extra erasing in there, but you know what? It's the first one. You'll do it again. It'll make a lot more sense.
All right.
Or maybe. So, but let me show you part of the fun of the decagon, which I just kind of geeked out on it for a minute. And you can do all sorts of pretty fractalizing shapes, right? So here's a decagon and a decagram. It's got the star inside, like we just talked about. And then I used those coordinates somehow to create an inner pentagon, right? And then fractalizing that, I created inner decagons and then fractalized that, right? So I
Nice.
don't quite remember how I did that, but it's so cool and so fun. So don't give up on it.
All right. I'm
All
trying
right.
not to.
And I will send you both the Pentagon and the Decagon PDFs, but just know that I did the Decagon has the old way of doing the pentagon on it. What I mean by that is that I used to draw it in this. I'm not going to complicate things. All right, here we go. There's no point for that, but I'll give you a heads up, and then I'll write a little note in an email. Okay, so you ready for the heptagons and heptagrams?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about how much 7 is a part of our cosmology, right? We use this shape for everything. 7 planets, 7 alchemical metals, 7 days of the week. It is just such a fundamental geometry. It's also known as a septagram, and it is profoundly powerful. And these just look like polygons and polygrams. We're like, oh, that's a 7-sided star. This stuff taps into our subconscious in such a powerful way. This is another aspect of magic in pagan religions. And the let's see, I transposed that. So this is an acute star, right? This is an acute heptagram. The obtuse are the open, the large star. So it's been used as a symbol in the Kabbalah, and also in the Tarot, and Aleister Crowley in the Knights Templar, where it's known as the seal or the Star of Babylon. This thing goes way back. It's used on multiple esoteric levels, and working with it calls those levels of consciousness in. And it has also been used to ward off evil, right? So not like any of us want to get close enough to a sheriff's badge to recognize it, but you will see it without having to get too close. And I showed this, and someone was like, oh, there's 7 people on the stage, which I thought was very fascinating as well. So just starting to notice everywhere that it's used. You've got the heptagon, heptagram, and I'm driving in Arizona, and it's everywhere, right? This is like at a rest stop, and I'm like, oh, I got to take that picture for class. So just begin to notice, right, how 7 is used. Hathors in Egypt, so much in Southeast Asia, like all over the place, associated with wisdom traditions and high spiritual Gnostic elements, practices as well. So just like every geometry, you've got the broad spectrum of the dark and the dark, dense, positive light. Everything can be tapped. And 7 chakras, all of the different ways to access the energy centers in our body to heal and to come into balance happens to incorporate the number 7 as well. So fundamental principles. And we've got the 7 Hermetic laws of the ancient Kemet, right? So 7 Hermetic principles. This is ancient knowledge. We've got the principle of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, gender, rhythm, and cause and effect. Now, to sum these up in 1 or 2 sentences is so oversimplified. These are lifelong practices, right? These are ways to bring spiritual principles into action, into life. And the geometry is an inherent part of that, even if you don't see the shape of it, right? So why is it that there are 7 principles, right? Why 7 chakras, all of the 7 points. This is another example of the fractalizing, right? So we are doing one version of it, but you can really play. And this one is graphic design, obviously, but immensely fun. And then here's the heptagram and the pentagram. And these are all of the, like this feels dark because there's all sorts of dark words. We've got Satan and, Beelzebub. They can be encoded, and they have been. But as soon as we start to recognize that they can be encoded more positively, then there's that reclamation, right? And we start to understand the potency. And please do not underestimate this thing. Like, it is so powerful. I did a workshop where we did pentagons, heptagons, and nonagons. We were in all day. We were just in the polygons, right? And played a little bit with the heptagons. And the next day, I went to go do my laundry. And at the laundromat was sort of the weekly paper. And, in Portland, they have art and all of these things on the cover. And this was on the cover of the weekly magazine the next day after that workshop. And we are influencing the fields, right? We are connecting with this geometry that is such a fundamental aspect of our interconnectedness. This is all working on the subconscious. It's all working in the invisible. It's harnessing the invisible into the visible, but it looks like a couple of points and shapes, but it's been used for centuries in our civilization because it's so powerful. So that's like a 2-minute overview of this incredible system. And we can draw it, and we'll do a little meditation practice with it. And then we'll wrap up the polygons for the day. It's always a little bit of a shorter day. And because it's you and me, it'll be we'll end when we end, but just to give you a heads up, this is the second part of the class. Do you need a bio break at all? Are we good? Okay, I'm muted, but I'm watching your body language and I don't know how to interpret it.
I just need to close the window because it's 47 degrees in here.
Oh God, why?
Because we went down 30 degrees from yesterday. And that's it. We had summer for 2 days. It was in the 70s and 80s, very unusual for Connecticut, but now it's freezing cold and raining.
Now it's freezing cold and raining. Welcome November. Yeah. Okay.
All set.
Okay, so we're starting on our fresh piece of paper, right? And let me see, we're just getting right into it. Do you have any thoughts about all of that? Any questions or
Intense
shape?
I can see where you're gonna meditate to that because it was already transfixing.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna do a little meditation about the closed essence, the closed energy of the polygon, where we start at one point and we're actually tracing and just embodying the sense of like there is no end and no beginning. So it's just this tiny little meditation. It can be so powerful. Every time I do it, I'm like, this is so simple, and it just is so deep. So, or maybe not. I don't want to put any pressure on it. All right. So drawing our heptagon and heptagram, we want to start with a 3-inch radius, same size circle. 3-inch radius. You know what? Let's go a little bigger though. I think I did this the other day. Go 4 inches, 4-inch radius, and then that'll give us an 8-inch diameter circle.
All right.
I don't know why I go so small on this one. So 4-inch radius. You can just ballpark the center of the page because we're not going off the page at all. We're not going near the edges. And drawing nice and light because a lot of it's going to get erased as usual. Getting in that habit. I have one lovely older lady in the crop circle class, which is so cool to begin with. And she draws really dark because when you're learning, there's that, there's an intensity to it. And she's like, I can't get it lighter. Do you have a different number pencil? And I'm like, no, it's just practice of, knowing the pressure. It's all practice,
Yeah.
All right. We've got our beautiful circle. I've drawn the half arc, but you only need these 2 points. So you can just make the hash marks on the right and left side, putting your compass point at the vertical bottom there. Approximately, it does not have to be precise at all, but the rest of it, we're going to try to get precision.
Hopefully.
All right, 2 points. We got those 2 points. Okay, so then those have given us our 2 points for the vertical line, right? So coming through the bottom and the center point. And you can see mine's a little wonky to the right. I mean, all of the approximation, like obviously if you want to measure to the center of the page, you can. I'm always fine with doing it this way. I'm close enough to count.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
No.
I'm not in the center of the page. So that's going to make
Okay.
it tricky. But I'm going to go at that point and put it up here. What was that? 6 and... Okay. Okay. Just because that last one, approximations didn't work for me.
Yeah, it's probably true. I've learned that it's not so great, but these guys don't extend past the circle. So I like to. I'm a
Look straight.
guesstimator. Okay, look straight enough. So you got vertical line. We've got the 2 points in the circle. And now we're going to draw a horizontal line. And I did label these A and B. You don't have to. It's simply so I can reference it, right? So horizontal line from the 2 intersections that we drew.
Okay.
Okay. Now what we want is the width of this segment. That's all we want. This is the measurement that we use to create the heptagon.
Okay.
Okay, so compass point is going to go at the left-hand intersection that we made. And you're going to make a mark above it using that radius.
Okay.
Okay, and then you're just going to repeat that pattern around the circle where the mark that you've made becomes the compass point for the next mark. And those marks will not line up with the vertical line, right? They're going to happen just, the 7th one is going to come out past the vertical line a little bit. What does that even mean? All right, so 7 points. You want to darken them in once you've got them. Don't mean to rush you. Okay. And once you've got that, I think here's the place where we erase everything again. You can erase the whole circle, right? You can erase, I left the circle. You can leave it, you can erase it, whatever you'd like to do. But we want to keep those points and you're going to label them. The top right is going to be point A, and you're going to counterclockwise alphabetize up until G. Oh, sorry, that was really loud.
So either you're not getting enough oxygen, as you do like to yawn during our sessions,
Yeah, well,
you're bored with me.
no, what it is you haven't gotten to bed until 2, but I'm usually up until much later than 2. So
Oh,
getting up at 10 to make sure I'm bright and sparkly by 11, there's no way I could be bored with the information and your presence. It's too fun. Please don't take it personally.
nah, just joking.
It is that I've not gotten enough sleep.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. So where does your D fall? Does it fall just past the vertical line on the bottom?
Yeah, to the
Awesome.
left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Okay, we got A through G.
Acute triangle. Yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna do now that you've just said acute, which is the one we'll do second, we're gonna do the obtuse.
Okay.
Okay. So what that means is we're gonna connect every other point. Right. And if you do the sequence, you won't register it this way with the way we do it with the ruler. But if you start up at A, you skip B, you come down to C. So we're starting at A, we're going to end at A. So A down to C and then C over to E. Boy, there is a really wonky magic to this thing. C to E and then E up to G. All right. And okay. Okay, and then G down to B. Yeah.
Trying to be precise, so lining up
Well,
the
I
ruler.
see you doing the double check. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Erase.
All right. B to D and then D to F.
F to A.
Exactly.
I'm going to play that sequence of notes to see what happens.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Okay.
All right. So this is the obtuse heptagon. Heptagram. By this time in the class, I just kind of transpose them. If you wanted to do the heptagon, you would connect the outer, you'd go A to B, B to C, you'd go all around and just do the straight line boundary. We don't do that, but you can, and you can erase the circle so that it's just the points and the polygon and the star. But what I like to do is, again, puncture through to the next page.
Where it went wrong last time.
No, this one will be the same. This one will be the same. So puncturing through, that'll give us our template for our heptagon.
Just A, B, C, D, and all those guys, right?
Yeah, all the way up to G, exactly.
I seem to have a mark here. I don't remember where it came from.
Well, the puncturing through starts to impact the whole thing.
It's a non-erased point. Okay, got it.
There you go.
All right, where are we going now?
Okay, so next piece of the paper, and then we're going to do A through G again.
Oh my God.
Oh, darken them in. Darken them in too. What's happening?
I will be on the back of my last drawing because I turned the book around. That's okay.
Oh, all right. Well, do you want to do something else?
No. I'll just.
Okay.
As long as we're not doing any more pages, we're good.
We're not doing any more pages. This is
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So we got the same.
Yep. Same 7, darkening them in, and then A through G.
A starts there. All right.
Okay. So this time we're connecting every third point, right? So we're gonna start at A. We're gonna skip B and C. I'm gonna go down to D. And I've got the sequence written up on the top left in case I can't track you. But A down to D. And it's another star where you could do it in any sequence, but the way I've done it creates the closed geometry, the shape sequencing. So D up to G.
A to D, D to G.
D to G.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
D
right.
to G.
D to G. Mm-hmm.
G to C.
G to C, yep. G to C, and then C to F.
F to B.
Mm-hmm. B to E and E to A.
Right. I prefer it be intuitive that I know where I'm going, but
Yeah.
now I won't know where I'm going until I'm done. Okay. B to E. Huh? Where am I? B.
B to E. Mm-hmm.
E to A. Ah, yeah. There you go. Okay. We are complete.
All right. And then you've got your acute heptagram that then creates an obtuse heptagram inside of that. And then you can create another acute heptagram inside of that. So it's just like the pentagon. The pentagon creates a pentagram, creates a pentagon. So this is the relationship between the polygons and the polygrams, is that infinite fractalizing nature. All right.
So that's going to go inside of that.
Right. See here, you've got the open, the obtuse. The star has created that same shape in the center. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. Fair enough.
Oh yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Well, if you take a minute with it, I don't mean to rush you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. And then, once you quote unquote study it for a minute, you'll see it. You'll see the inside polygon. All right. So we're going to do a little meditation. I'm going to come on the screen share. And here's the deal. So this is a tracing meditation. The design of this is to occupy your left brain so that you're engaged in the geometry, and then I'll guide us every little passage of time into taking a breath, so that we're combining the embodied piece with the the right brain, left brain, body, and then we'll see what happens in terms of insights or information that comes through. So you can choose either the acute or the obtuse, whichever one you're more called to. And what we're going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes, which strangely goes by very quickly. And whether you use your finger or a pen or, forwards, backwards, fast, slow, whatever organically happens for you, I'm going to just put on a little frequency music and for meditation background, and then we will go into it. Hopefully, tell me first the tones. Can you hear that? It's really gentle. It's really soft. Can you hear that?
Your voice volume decreased when you did something, and I cannot hear the sound. Yeah.
Can you hear the frequency?
No.
Okay. Let me try this, because I do like to put on a little something in the background. You hear that? It's just the frequency is too gentle, so this has a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna go into. You know what I want to do? I'm sorry, I'm going to do something different. Just bear with me. You can take a nice deep breath. That always passes the time well. I want to have this one. This is good. Hear that?
No.
Really?
Really?
It's kind
I'll
of
turn Turn up my volume, but
What's that? So let's just, what now?
turned up my volume, but
Okay. You know, the sound isn't so great. Maybe I could do it this way. Because I'm trying to get this right. Me again. Maybe if I hold it up here. Yeah.
no. Really weird, right?
Really weird. It's very loud on my end. All right. Well, I would love it if you had meditation music, but that doesn't seem to be working. So we'll just, do you have your own meditation music? Let's do it that way. It really makes a difference in my world to have an audio. I listen all the time to the frequency tones. And I always like to send some links so that people can also have their own frequency tones.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. So however you'd like to do it, um, choosing a utensil, not choosing utensil, whatever feels right. I'm gonna set the timer and we will start now with a deep breath and then bringing your witness on, right? Bringing the observing self and noticing what arises as we do this. Just allowing the process, however it's showing up. Taking a nice deep breath. Thoughts and reflections that arise, maybe allowing them to move on with every breath, making more room for more insights, observations. Another nice deep breath. Bringing in the witness, breathing, grounding in your body, connecting from the mental to the embodied experience. Right, and then releasing the pencil, closing your eyes, just coming back to stillness, doing a little inventory, noticing what you're feeling, noticing what was arising, if anything. And then as you're ready, you can just check in about your experience. To come off mute though.
It could just be my day, but tracing it, so I know you're talking no beginning, no end. For me, that translated towards the end as the rat race.
Oh, how
So
so? What do you mean?
doing the same thing over and over again, but getting
Oh,
nowhere in particular.
oh man, I didn't need that. Oh man. All
That's why
right.
that's why I said it could be me after the week I had of nonstop physical activity. But you do every single year in the same way, and it's just like, okay. I don't know. Sometimes I really get trapped in the routine. I don't know.
Mhm.
Just the routine of living, and the routine that there's always going to be something going on in the world that's going to get you triggered or whatever have you. There never seems to be an ending to it. So
Mm,
that's the rat race part of it, I think.
yeah. That's a solid matrix reflection right there.
Yeah, caught in the maze.
Yeah. I resonate with that more than you could possibly imagine. Um um yeah, I don't want to go into personally, but I have a sense of looking around sometimes and going like, didn't we do this already? You
Yes.
know?
You live long enough, you see it two or three or four times.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. And
crazy.
how do you find a sense of meaning when it's
Mm.
just that repetition and that like external, seemingly similar um cycle, so I get it.
Yeah.
I think I particularly feel that in the holidays, honestly. Like I'll just be like, oh, this again, didn't we do this, but it's there's really a polarity between like that mundane uh cyclical process and then finding meaning. I mean, it's um who was that? This was Maslow. Who was it that did making meaning? It was that amazing human that survived the concentration camps. I just can't remember his name right now, but
Right.
I guess that's the task. Isn't that amazing? By just tracing a geometry for a moment, you just get some kind of powerful insight. Oof.
I'll try it again.
Nobody
I'll try it when I'm a higher vibration, apparently. But no.
nobody needed that today, Roberta.
Yeah, I know. Probably
But
the
that's
weather.
where it's been at. Like when you asked in the beginning, like what's the density of like the window of the eclipse, that's exactly it. It's like
Yeah.
bringing up all of this um existential questioning of like what the heck,
Yeah.
it's happening again and again. So it's been really intense. And for me, I usually feel cycles of the moon 2 days later. I have a 2 day registry where like super intense stuff, I internalize it the second day later. So I'm not taking off my seatbelt at all yet, So
I was told too that the 10 days. Let's see. I spoke to him on October 10th. He said the next 10 days are going to be horrific, and that was the 10th, so the 20th. I mean the 19th rather. The
mhm.
19th. So yeah, we're there. We're here.
Yeah. Well, you've got the 2 weeks before the eclipse, you've got the actual window, and then you've got 2 weeks after. So it's like 6 week long,
Yeah.
we could say nightmare, or here in Sedona, we're like, oh, learning opportunities. Oh God. I've, what else I have zero tolerance for? While we're saying these things, people. like I have I'm ready to hibernate. I'm ready to like be in my room for a couple months, and I had to go out last night because I obligated myself to support someone volunteering, and it was like, I mean, I hope I wasn't as obvious on my face as like irritated as I was inside, because that social superficial, like I have zero for it, like that. So that's where it shows up also, is like I don't want anything except the real conversation. And I was just in an environment where it was going to be superficial last night, and I
Yeah.
was so irritated.
Yeah.
And then we just came home and mashed my face in my cat, and everything was better. I was just like our cats just make it
Yeah.
so much. Like that's all I want to do is just be in my home, in my room, and mash my face on my big fluffy cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many
I
do you
get you.
have?
I have two, and
2.
the big one I was meowing just now. I don't think you've seen him. Maybe you did the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're not happy with the weather change apparently. So
Yeah.
they get bored and then they start bothering me. But
Oh,
that's okay.
not
That's
so bad. Yeah.
no, just when they're jumping, in a Zoom call, it's a little.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
part of what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you made it through class. We started out
Yeah.
a little chunky. How do you feel? How's it? Well, closing thoughts and observations.
I feel like I need to go back to square one and just start drawing everything I've learned so far until it feels very natural
Mhm.
and easy. And I know where I'll get stuck in Metatron's cube. Uh,
Mhm.
those last lines. I
Okay.
really wanted to do the drawing that we did last week
Mhm.
without everything around it, just so I can see the
Okay.
cathedral
Mhm.
and the pie. I want to
Mhm.
go over that again. So overall, I think I have to like review these first 5 weeks
Okay.
just to feel like I'm not just doing this because you're here and I'm here,
Mhm.
but to really get out of it what I need to get out of it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do this week. I promise. I promise.
Okay. Well, it's all.
It's
Yep.
twice.
All right. No pressure. No pressure. It's great to set a goal, and I'm always just so tickled when people actually get to the drawing, because it is like such an embracing and an integration and a personalization of like, oh yeah, I chose this to help with my evolution. It's like
Yeah, and
saying,
I want to be able to find some of the um, images that you've shown in each of the
mhm,
classes. There's some that I just like, wow, I'm a
okay,
magnet to.
mhm.
So, did you get a lot of those off of the internet or?
I did, but if you want me to send anything, you just like if we're doing a slideshow and I'm in a presentation, just jump in and say, can I have that
Okay,
one? Because it's easy
okay.
to send.
Oh, great,
Yeah,
great.
yeah, no problem.
And your directions arrived immediately after we said goodbye last week. So,
Great. I'm starting to I used to wait
yes.
to have I used to try to wait for the Zoom recording.
Hi,
Hi, Mr. Man. Oh my goodness.
that's the spirit.
So handsome.
He's large. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
keep
is my
talking.
boy. Hi. Oh my gosh. One of these days I'll just face on with my boy. I'll give you a
Yeah,
glimpse.
that'd be great.
Um
Be interesting.
he I know there are boys. Um I used to wait. This is him.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
saw I saw his bottom half last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we love our guys. I used to wait for the recording, but now I just send the PDFs right after, and then
Mhm.
I've been uploading to the YouTube because it's just a better way to get the
Right.
recording. So at least you'll have the drawings right off the bat, and then next week we'll spice it up a little bit. It'll be the octagon, so 8-sided geometry, which is also a hypercube, right? So cube on steroids with the 8 sides. And then that's also the tesseract, which is the geometry of time travel. And what I mean by that is the tesseract is a 4th dimensional shape as well. It doesn't actually exist in this dimension. So
Hmm.
it launches us into contemplation of the possibility of other dimensional realities. So we start to bridge back into the more like esoteric. We just had to dip down into some of the more like earth plane shapes, but they really aren't, right? So it's all finding that relationship of the larger, the metaphysical, the invisible, and bringing it into the geometry. So next week is the tesseract, and then the following tweaks, for sure, tweaks are the 64 star tetrahedrons. Really fun. We'll do the 2D version, and then we'll do the 3D version, and then that's right, I made this the 10-week course. So then we also have nonagons. So we've got spaciousness for everything. Nonagon being like the pentagon, heptagon. It's a 9-fold polygon. And whoa, the magic of 3, 6, and 9.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that is magic. That I know.
Yeah. So that's the progression. I apologize if the syllabus is not quite on, but I usually flow with however it's showing up, but I will restructure because I do have a little bit of a pattern going.
Okay.
All
Very good.
right.
No problem.
Awesome. I hope you get some better sleep,
Me
and
too.
I will see you next Sunday,
Yes.
and have a great week.
You too.
All right. Thanks,
Take
Roberta.
care. You're
Okay.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.